Kentucky Derby.
You're watching Past the Wire TV, the biggest races at the best tracks. From the Kentucky Derby to the Breeders' Cup. The best horse racing coverage is right here on Past the Wire TV.
Welcome back for another edition of Sunday Morning Coffee on Past the Wire TV. I am Big Race Jim. Shout out to Shore Bet Coffee, AmWager, Pleasant Acres, helping us bring this show to you every week. I've got this glare on my glasses that I can't seem to figure out, so you're gonna have to deal with it. Two big races, a couple big races around the country, but what I wanted to talk about was the King's Plate up at Woodbine and then the Alabama at Saratoga. Let's not waste any time. Here is the King's Plate. We can go through this together. I thought there was some interesting stuff from Mancetti early on that
and showing up on the inside, Mancetti scorching to Wolf.
Really helped.
Mancetti away from the inside. Ashley's Archer trying to settle on the outside. Plenty of room in the center.
So I'll admit I don't play Woodbine all that much, but the way that they came through the stretch suggested that you didn't want to be on the rail. So as they go into the first turn, you know, the winner is in the front and is just off the rail. Everybody else was kind of wide, and I thought that, you know, obviously the result of the race, looking at the result of the race, I thought that helped him. Being, you know, the one that ended up saving as much ground as possible. I mean, that 4 kind of threatened a little bit to get involved there, going around the first turn onto the back stretch, and then kind of settled back here into second. But for the most part, there hasn't been a ton of action. But I liked what he did here. He just kind of spurted away, and it looked like to me that the rider knew he had a little bit of a gap and wanted to put the pressure on and maybe catch everybody else flat-footed, and that's really exactly what he did. And he was able to pull clear of anyone. This 11 Tom's Magic is really the only other one that did any bit of running. And, you know, the interesting thing to me was that move, that early move going into the far turn, caught everybody by surprise, I think. Because otherwise, if he waits till, you know, the quarter pole, like most riders would, to get going, perhaps that 11 comes and catches him. But I thought that the 1 and the rider did a fantastic job of really taking that race to the competition with the lead, getting out in front, and getting a little bit bold as you're out on the front end and putting a little distance between you and the field. I think at that particular moment felt early, but, you know, he's the one on the back of the horse, not me. And it proved to be a winning move and the right move. So congrats to all the connections. Not a lot of action in that race overall. The winner certainly much the best, and I thought that the rider gave him the best opportunity to be victorious. So that was all good. I don't know. Perhaps if anybody else plays Woodbine more than me, they can fill me in. I was a little surprised to see just how far off the rail it seemed like everybody wanted to be yesterday, and that was admittedly the only race that I watched there. We'll get through to the Alabama next, which I've got a couple of thoughts on this. Short field, which it typically is, right? Usually is a pretty short field in the Alabama. I don't think these fillies need to be going 1.25 miles. It's the only race at that distance on dirt for fillies and mares anywhere in the country in any age group. And we saw the reason why in the final 1/8 of a mile. You know, they looked like claiming horses coming down the stretch at Aqueduct. Nobody making up any ground. One horse kind of zigging and zagging everywhere. Everybody just kind of begging for the race to end. But let's take a look at the Alabama
They're in the gate.
from yesterday.
And they're off in the Alabama, presented by Keeneland Sales. And LaCara.
And, you know, just like we suspected, LaCara would go out to the front. She likes to be the controlling speed. And for a race as long as this one, at 10 furlongs, the early part of the race was pretty quick. I mean, Nitrogen, you know, kind of shot out of there and went kind of wide into that far turn. You know, not that first quarter wasn't super swift. You know, basically 25. But as they kept going through, it seemed like the middle part of the race kind of sped up a little bit, which I think was LaCara's undoing. Because I don't know if she felt pressure from Nitrogen or what, but that second quarter mile was quick. This third quarter was quick, and then as they get into the top of the stretch here, things just really kind of started to fall apart. You know, you see LaCara just kind of give up just about here. Good Cheer looked like had every opportunity to go on by, but Nitrogen is kind of zigzagging all over the track, kind of gets in front and then blocks Good Cheer a little bit here, and Nitrogen kind of got all the way down to win the race. But that final quarter, super slow. I think it was probably about close to 26 seconds or so. But the two prior quarters were pretty quick, and I think that's what did not work to LaCara's advantage. Good Cheer. I don't know. She's lost the last two. She didn't look bad there. You know, obviously a grade one, you want to be involved, but I think the distance for all of these horses probably not the right distance that they want to be going. Right? I mean, look, they just everybody's kind of tapped out here before they make it around the the clubhouse turn on the gallop out. So I don't think Good Cheer lost anything in defeat, but I don't think she's as good now as she was early in the year. And the NYRA broadcast was talking yesterday after the race, the NYRA and Fox broadcast, that she needs a pace setup, and it was too slow early for her to be able to do much. And I think that was coming from Brad Cox, and I don't know. I'm not so sure that I buy that. Her figures hadn't been stellar all throughout that initial 7-race win streak to begin her career. They were good, but they weren't like world beating. So to me, I think she's just not. I just think she's not as good as she was earlier in the year, and it's probably a combination of her not being as good as she was, and a lot of these horses getting better. Like, I think La Cara is a better horse now than she was in the Kentucky Oaks, and I think most people would agree with that. So I think a mix of both, and as we've seen, it's never really great to be pace dependent, a la Sandman. And I guess you could make the argument too that perhaps Sierra Leone is a little pace dependent as well. You could make that argument, but I like Sierra Leone, so we won't make that argument here. Anyway, those were the two big races that I followed yesterday. Nitrogen, yeah, nice, all around. Wins on turf, wins on dirt. That's dynamic. That's great. So good for them. Good for DJ Stable. New Jersey guys, gotta love that. So all good all around. But I thought, Good Cheer and the way that race was run, just from like a fractional time standpoint, were probably the most interesting aspects of that race to me. All right, we'll take a quick pause. I don't know that I have anything to complain about, but I'll think of something during the commercial break. Go.
It's simplification and Javier.
All right. Last week, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the CAWs. Last week, I can't remember what I was complaining about. This week, there hasn't been much. Which is good. I think people are still hung up on the CAW thing, which is fine, right? I mean, that seems to be the biggest sort of issue of the day. But I'm going to give some credit where credit is due. This week was Bet Bash. and out in Vegas, and it's mostly a sports betting thing. There are a couple of horse racing panels and a presentation by AmWager where they're discussing their platform with basically two sports bettors. And I think where people don't come into horse racing is certainly the knowledge, the education factor, right? Like, sure, there's people that bet, I mean, all sorts of amounts on football, but they watch football on Saturdays and Sundays, and they feel like they know what's going on. So they are confident in their wager. You can make the argument that people who, well, it doesn't even need to be an argument. I've had many people from the top horse racing ADWs say that people come in and bet the Kentucky Derby, and then the next horse race that they bet is the Kentucky Derby the next year. So when you have people coming in, hundreds of thousands of people coming in, and they bet one race a year, we're not bringing them through the entire, sort of racing ecosystem, if you will. And part of that is the education aspect. They're not going to play every day if they don't know what is going on. They don't have confidence in what they're betting. And you can make the argument that a lot of people on TV with the bets that they're giving out don't have confidence in their selections either. But the people who aren't playing, it's difficult to understand, right? We've talked about this before. The past performances look like a foreign language that you've never seen before. The odds is strange. The odds changing to a sports bettor is strange. The payouts are strange. You have payouts on some tracks doing payouts on a $2 bet. Some tracks doing payouts on a dollar bet. You have the win, place, and show are based on based on $2. You have the exotics that are based on $1 or 50 cents, right? It's confusing. So I can certainly see where people are turned off, or maybe not turned off, but not necessarily turned on by the thought of horse racing. You legitimately can't sit down, open up your app, and make a quick bet that you feel confident about. There's too much going on. There's too many factors. There's too much stuff. Whereas, I watched the Jets last week, and I know that they're not very good, and they're playing the Chiefs this week, so the Chiefs will for sure win this game, $25. And that makes sense, right? Like, that makes sense. So what I think, there needs to be an educational component to it. And there needs to be a strategy behind it. And I think NYRA does a really good job with their talent that heads up NYRA Bets, Matt DeSantis, in educating bettors on all of the different factors. And he does a really good job. I think AmWager does a fantastic job on their platform, making it feel like it's for, horse players. You have high level data and insights that are powered into that app, but it also makes it simple for first time players or casual players. So there's stuff that's happening that's moving everything along, and I think that is a a really good thing. Sorry, my kids are not listening when I said to be quiet. So I think there are things happening that are helping to bring people along. The issue is that those people are just coming in for the Kentucky Derby. They're coming in for the race, right? Like they're not watching the 13 other races that NBC has on 6 different channels during that day. They're not watching that. They're coming in, they're watching the race, they're opening up whatever app they think, probably go to FanDuel first. And in some states they can get to FanDuel Racing, in other states they can't. But they're coming in for that race. So how do we catch them in that race? Is it a commercial? Is it an ad? Is it, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But they're here for maybe 30 minutes, and horse racing has to do a better job of capturing that. I mean, Saratoga is great, right? Because you're getting more casual eyeballs more consistently. And I think NYRA does a pretty good job of capturing them, at least during the summer, and carrying them along with education. It's just not getting us all the way through. Maybe they have data that says otherwise, and I would believe it if they did. But it just feels like the bulk of people are coming in for 30 minutes once a year, and we're not doing a very good job of capturing them. Even though there are really good things kind of happening outside of those windows. So I don't know if that made any sense. It made sense in my mind. And I think we need to do a little bit better job of educating our customer more consistently at those peak sort of intervals. There's good stuff happening, but we got to deliver that message, right? What do they say in marketing? You got to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time. And it feels like maybe we're not doing that. Travers next weekend. Looks like it's going to be a pretty short field. We've got the 30-second Travers show coming up on Wednesday. It'll kind of be like a gong show of sorts. You got 30 seconds to make your case for a horse, or make your case why you're against the horse. You got 30 seconds, and then we're moving on. And if you're still talking, you're getting muted and taken off the screen. So that'll be pretty fun. Hope you'll check it out Wednesday night. That'll do it for me. Sunday morning coffee only on Past the Wire TV. I'm Big Race Jim. Every week, coming to you thanks to SureBet Coffee, AmWager, and Pleasant Acres. Everybody have an amazing week, and we'll see you back here after the Travers next Sunday. Go.
Here comes journalism, here comes sovereignty, and they square off, heading to the final front. Sovereignty wins the Derby!
You're watching Past the Wire TV. Hit that like button and subscribe to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.